Okay. こんばんは、Lichtです。Streaming to you from the Southeast Asian shows. My name is Licht, your favorite mermaid prince. And today I am here with my friend Jacko. Or Jacko Trash. Jacko, you can unmute now.
Okay. Thanks.
And my god, it's famous jjba artist Jacko Trash on my stream.
And then half the audience just doesn't understand you.
Half the audience
You
fucking
went into
leaves
British mode.
Half the audience fucking leaves. I have 2 people watching the stream. I now only have 1 person watching the stream.
Yeah.
Yes, this is Jacko Trash, famous jjba artist and prominent gay person.
Yeah, I'm very extremely and utterly gay.
Prominent.
Do we have like a rundown of what we're gonna be talking about?
No.
Are you just letting it flow?
I'm letting it flow. Claude says hashtag Jacko gang because Claude likes to stand up for everybody else on my channel except me.
I mean, I feel that.
Yes. Unfortunately, the PNG thing, Discord stream kit did not want to cooperate with me today, so Jacko is just a PNG of their art.
It'd be like that.
I
mean, are you streaming only on YouTube and and nowhere else?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't really like using Twitch.
Because sometimes I think there's an option on the OBS thing where you can stream on both platforms at the same time somehow.
Can you? I don't think so.
I've heard of it. It's like a mystery, you know.
A mystery? Oh my god, Sherlock!
I've heard of it.
Sherlock Holmes BBC?
Top 10 horror stories.
BuzzFeed Unsolved! Fucking BuzzFeed Unsolved. Do you still watch them?
No! I feel like they got a bit boring. Like, they just do the same stuff all over. No, now they sit like 6 feet apart and they're like, talking about like stuff in, I think, one of their gardens or something. I remember like
yeah, that's
a while ago.
That's what's it called? Spirit. We talk about spirits while we drink a lot of spirits. It's something spirit something. Spirits and spirit something like that. I don't know. I liked watching
catchphrases.
Yeah. Talk too many spirits. It's called Too Many Spirits. Listen to us talk about too many spirits while drinking too many spirits. Right. I was like, if I don't remember how that fucking catchphrase goes, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Did you Google it?
No, I remembered it from the top of my little gay brain.
Okay. Wow. Your brain is like a library. And you cannot reach for any of the books because they're too high up.
I'm not sure.
Look, okay, there's always a limit, okay?
There's always a limit.
You're not super tall either. Don't like give yourself that praise.
I'll just ask I'll ask my dad to take the book for me.
Is your dad taller than you?
Yes,
he looks like a short guy.
No, he's 185 cm tall.
Bruh.
Is that short to you, bitch?
I mean, to be honest, my dad was taller, so...
To be honest, your dad was white.
Then he became black.
No! Reverse BBC.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I guess because it's because I expected like a lot of like Asian dads, like most of them are really short.
Oh yeah, no.
They're either my height or shorter.
Yeah, that's just Asian things, and I think because a lot of here's some geography for you, right? A lot of people because all of us are Chinese immigrants, right, or the descendants of Chinese immigrants, so A lot of people who immigrated here are from the southern part of China, where everyone's a little bit smaller. The northern Chinese are the people who have the tall genes, like the super tall genes, but most people here are of southern Chinese descent.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
Yo, like my dad's from Hong Kong,
Oh my
so
God.
that's why he's 185.
Is Hong Kong technically in the north?
It's near the Guangdong province, which is in the north, so yeah.
Okay. Cause like I know roughly where some like areas of China and relating countries are, but I don't know exactly like north, south, east.
I
west,
don't blame
like,
you.
where it cuts off.
I don't blame you. You're white.
I mean, it's not an excuse for everything. Like sometimes people refer to places and I'm just like, huh? Like, especially in Singapore, I feel like.
What do you mean? Like, what do you mean refer to places? What do you mean?
Like, I feel like even in Singapore, sometimes they refer to like areas, and I'm just like, where is Queenstown or like I don't know 6th Avenue? Like I cannot imagine it on a map.
Really?
I mean, yeah, sometimes. Like I know where I live.
Yeah, no shit. You know, I sure hope you know where you live. Excuse me. I'd be a bit concerned if you didn't.
I mean, I can just forget about it one day.
Dementia, queen?
Oh, really?
Dementia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wandering around the city, getting to know it like never before.
My mom and I actually, over Chinese New Year, we took the bus around. We took random buses around Singapore.
Oh yeah, you told me. How was that?
It was actually pretty fun. I haven't been to White Sands at Pasir Ris for a while. The last time I went was like several Cosfests ago, so it was fun to like go back. I found this hot pot place where you can eat like single person hot pot, which is such a concept.
For single people? Hot pot for virgins?
No.
My apologies.
My apologies. Your apology is not accepted.
Oh no, what do I do now?
Perish. That's what you do.
Okay, but go on.
Which is pretty cool because I personally go out to eat by myself a lot. Like usually I go out with my sister to eat, but my sister's not home, right? So, I go out a lot to eat by myself, especially when my mom's like busy and shit. But I'm like, I want to get out of the fucking house. So, you know.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so if I want a hot pot, I don't have to fucking go to Hai Di Lao and look like a fucking weirdo.
Do you think it's that shameful?
To go to a full-size hot pot place by yourself and sit by yourself in a hot pot booth with a massive fucking pot?
Sometimes, you just need that time for yourself. It's called self-care.
Okay, look, I think it's less.
I don't know if you're
like...
used to that.
Oh my god! Sorry, no, I'm a Pisces. No, it's less like for the shame and shit, and it's more like places that serve individual portions for individual people will have individual portions that are more worth it.
Fair enough. Like
instead of you going to like a fucking group restaurant and then they give you order like one like half plate of beef and they give you enough beef for like 2 people and you're like, what the fuck do I do with all this beef?
Yeah, it feels very wasteful sometimes. Like for me, like when I don't finish my food, I just freak out. I'm just like, ah. You know those restaurants that charge you for not finishing food?
Oh yeah, usually the free flow ones, yeah.
Yeah. Those are scary as hell. There's always like this looming thing of like, oh, but what if I don't finish this?
Really?
Like subconsciously.
I remember.
I don't know, I just feel very anxious in them.
I went to celebrate a friend's birthday at a Korean barbecue place near my house in like last November-ish, and it was really funny because there were 5 of us, so just the limit at the time for phase 2, and one of my friends ordered broccoli, and all of us were like, "Who the fuck eats broccoli at Korean barbecue?" Like, cause it's not boiled first.
I like broccoli.
I like broccoli too,
okay.
but it's not pre-boiled. It's raw broccoli, and it's so hard to fucking cook that on a grill until it's tender.
It's crunchy.
Yeah, no, but like you can't fully cook it on a grill, you know what I mean?
Fair.
I understand if it's like pre-boiled and then you want some like spicy, smoky flavor, but it's not, it's raw broccoli. So all of us were like, alright, sure. And at the end of the meal, we ordered like so much meat and shit, but we finished it all except the broccoli. So my friend put the rest of the broccoli, about like 3 or 4 stems, into a tissue, wrapped it up, and then shoved it into her bag so we didn't have to pay the fee.
Are you for real? I feel like most of the time they don't really care. It's just like the warning's there, but they don't really like, unless you have a whole mountain of food left behind, they don't really like police you
if it's
around
like
that.
no, if it's really a small portion, then they don't really mind. But if it's like, you know, if it's visibly like, they usually charge like, oh, every like about like 50 or 100 grams of food that you leave behind, you have to pay this much. But my friend was paranoid, so she was like, I'm gonna take the broccoli, and all of us were like, you don't have to. It's not like super, it's not meat, you know, like most of the time they charge for meat because meat is expensive, but this is fucking broccoli, my dude. I'm like, bruh. And then she fucking brings it back, and I'm like, this is some next level shit, man.
This is honestly, yeah, I would do that.
It reminds me of like, you know when you watch like those people who are like super eco-friendly and they like compost everything,
reduce,
recycle, and I'm like, I respect that life, but I think it'd be too much work for me. I feel like,
yeah, I get that.
I feel like the whole like super green life with the composting and the zero waste and the buying in jars at those like Whole Food markets, I feel like that's for people who have a lot of time.
Yeah, it is very exhausting. Like it has to be constantly on your mind, I feel like, until you get used to it.
Have you watched those videos before?
Oh my god, there's this one video of this girl who's been recycling and reusing everything, and she has this jar with her, and she brings it to all of her interviews with like all of her trash for the past 4 years.
Yeah, it's
and I cannot believe that. And I cannot believe that it's so small. Because first of all, what about the things that your friends give you, and then there's like wrapping in it, and that like you haven't bought yourself? What about the things that you get in the mail or something like that you don't consciously buy into your house, but it's still wasteful? Do you still put that in the jar or no?
I guess she just doesn't buy things online. She'd probably be the type of person who's like, oh, buying online purchases increases my carbon footprint.
Oh my god.
You know?
I just feel like her jar thing is a very staple like brand for herself, but I don't believe that all of her waste is in that jar. Like it's like some candy wrappers like type shit like in there.
Yeah, and like a bottle cap and shit. I know. I feel like it's more like the waste that she maybe could have avoided, or like,
fair,
you know,
like she consciously took it on.
Yeah. Like, you know, I want this candy, so this is a sacrifice I'm gonna make. I'm gonna put it in the jar, my little jar of plastic shame.
But it's just that like she's so strict about her entire like routine of, you know, doing this and that to avoid increasing her carbon footprint and everything, and she swears by it so much to the point where, you know, I feel like it's not really fair to hide all of the so how do I say that, like all of her decisions that she doesn't really make, like in order to choose a healthier like lifestyle, a more eco-friendly lifestyle.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Especially like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of these videos are like putting out really unrealistic expectations of what a green life is, especially like because these are mostly targeted towards like the American audience, right? Nobody can fucking go out now. You think you can go to your local fucking Whole Foods and scoop out a fucking kilogram of flour to put in your little mason jar, Karen?
Yeah.
You go
Plus,
get
I
your
feel like
germs over there, shit queen.
Yeah, with the pandemic, like, they've been real silent because everything, like, there has been a huge increase in using, like, single-use plastics and stuff like that. So they've been real silent.
The ecologist's been real silent since COVID-19 started.
Since COVID dropped, they've been real silent, huh?
The mixtape too hot. My ass itchy.
Yeah.
Mogu, why do you need to tell me that your ass is itchy?
Sitting next to me, typing up another comment. I see. I see how it is.
See how it is. But yeah, I
Okay.
don't know. I used to watch like all those fucking BuzzFeed videos about it, and I was like, that's such a
I would
lifestyle.
just feel guilty.
What
I would just
walk
feel really
into?
guilty.
You walked into
Yeah.
nature talk, baby.
Bruh. Oh my god. Yeah. It's a whole thing that I feel like I wouldn't really be able to take on because it's so much. It's like going vegan. Like tomorrow you're going vegan.
As someone who
It's a lot.
loves hot pot and like and like Korean barbecue and like any of those kinds of food that you have to cook yourself.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. Imagine a hot pot, but it's all vegetables.
I mean, I wouldn't like rebel against that and just throw a tantrum if that was the case. Like I would still eat it. Like I like most of the vegetables except for like celery or what's it called, cilantro.
Oh,
it
yeah.
tastes like shit.
So yeah.
Yeah. So like I would still eat it, but I would not give up the joys of eating meat every now and then.
Yeah, well, I feel like I was talking to my mom about it a while ago actually, because my mom and I went to one of those the Art Science Museum. We like to go to the Art Science Museum pretty often because I want to see I like to see the exhibitions and stuff, and my mom just likes to tag along. So we went to go see a Nat Geo one a few months ago. That was during her break in December. And it was about like plastic usage and nature and shit. And there was this whole section on it was mostly like plastic usage, but my mom also was like thinking about like, oh, hello.
Could you not?
What happened?
Okay, yeah, go on.
What happened?
I don't know. They're just talking.
It'd be
Where
was I?
it's the voices in my head.
It's the voices in my head.
Go on.
Yeah, so my mom was like, oh, how, you know, vegetarian is such a concept, especially, I think it's a concept that a lot of, like, especially Chinese people in particular, because meat is such a big part of, like, Chinese food and everything, right? So I had a friend once, not a friend anymore, because we kind of drifted apart, but when I was younger, I knew this kid that went to Beijing and was like, I hate Beijing. She was Australian, I think. I hate Beijing, and I was like, why? Like, did you get, you know, discriminated against? Did like some people say some mean things to you? Because, you know, mainland Chinese people can be pretty mean. And then she was like, no, there's no vegan options. I'm like, what the hell? Huh? Sorry.
Some people feel very entitled to it once they get used to that sort of lifestyle.
Yeah,
which is a bit weird.
Especially in like mostly white populated countries.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, the super westernized country. It's such a concept.
Yeah, I feel like, because my sister is also vegetarian. Like, I get where you know, like, it's uncomfortable for you once you've grown to have this lifestyle where you can only eat certain foods, right? For example, religious beliefs, or, you know, you choose to not eat meat or something like that. And my sister is vegetarian, and her, like, our mom constantly makes fun of her for that. She's like, oh my god, why can't you just eat that sausage? Like, I just, you know, got it for you. And she's been like vegetarian for like a year plus already.
Good for her. I respect the hustle.
I get why a person can be uncomfortable, but just feeling completely entitled to having options all the time is a bit weird to me.
Yeah. I understand if they were upset there weren't like too many vegetarian options, because vegetarian is something that's more like common, right?
Yeah.
Like, wait, correct me if I'm wrong. Can you eat fish if you're vegetarian?
No. I don't think
right?
so.
But you can eat like if you're what? Sorry.
I believe if you're pescatarian, you can eat fish.
But
or it's the other way around. Don't trust me.
I think it's pescatarian, yeah. Or wait, I'm not sure. But when you're vegetarian, you can still eat what, like eggs and shit, right? And like butter.
I believe butter, milk, yeah.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Like
you can still go
dairy
with.
Products from animals, but not animal products.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing I don't understand about like personally being vegan, because like eggs, the eggs that you get are they're not you know they're not what's the word for it,
alive,
fertilized, I suppose. So you know there's no you're not eating chickens.
Fair.
Milk is literally just something cows produce, so that's not.
Yeah, a lot of people have their own beliefs and like, you know, reasons behind going into that kind of diet. Like some people are either lactose intolerant, so they're going vegan, or
that never stopped you.
No, it never will. I love that cheese milk tea from Liho too much. No, but pretty much like for them, it's a more of a dietary choice to you know lead a healthier lifestyle than more of like a moral thing,
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe the image of Western media has painted you know my personal image of vegans. It's
a very strong picture. Like they've got, you know, like, there's a lot of stigma around
vegetables, tofu.
Yeah.
Mushrooms.
So
sorry.
Most of them. Thank you for letting me finish.
Yes.
But what was I gonna say is that like I understand why a lot of people go with that option. I just don't like the pushy ones, you know.
Mushrooms can be Mogu says mushrooms can be substitutes for vegetables. Meat, not vegetable. Meat? Mushrooms can be substitute for meat? Really? I didn't know mushrooms had like, I don't know, protein value.
As in terms of the texture, I feel like some of them may match the meat, like area somewhere there.
I mean less as I'm talking less in like texture and like how real the mushrooms may be as meat. I'm talking more about like the nutritional value, because that's something that my mom was talking about. She was like, don't you think like a lot of vegetarian people they have to find alternate ways to get protein, but if you have to eat a lot more like vegetables or like protein substitutes in order to get the same amount of protein that you get from like a piece of beef.
Fair.
So that's what my mom was talking about, and she was like, that's a lot of food, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, it really does depend on the person's lifestyle and everything, like whether or not they're willing to do the research so they don't end up like malnourished when they start their vegetarian journey.
Their journey to the vegetables.
Yes, journey to the west. I mean, yeah. No hate against vegans, but you know.
The problem with milk is that it's produced with cows in horrible conditions that barely move in all their life. Really? I don't know. Most times I like watch videos of like you know when you're like about to go to sleep and then you go down like the weird corner of YouTube.
Oh yeah.
That's when I watch most of this shit. Right? So like I saw these videos of like farms and stuff, and Markiplier and Ethan's channel, which shall not be named, they also milked a goat. So you know the animals looked pretty alright, but then again I think those were more like small farms and like,
yeah, the conditions vary drastically.
Yeah, because it wasn't industrial production. It was like a kind of indie. It was an indie farm producing their own organic milk.
This farm is pretty underground. I don't think you've heard of it. It's like really good, but it's not popular at all.
This is the
That's what makes it good.
The alt subculture.
The alt farm.
Alt farms. Over here we've got the goth farm. Over here we've got the punk farm. The e-girl farm. It's just called TikTok.
Oh yeah. No. E-girl farm is like where all cows have eyeliner on and like
the fucking
like,
heart
they're
stems.
colored. They don't have like patches of color on them, but instead they're colored like one half is black and the other half is white.
Fucking Melanie Martinez cows. And then when you walk past, they look at you and go, Cameron and I.
Oh my god.
You must be in this town.
Jesus Christ, that's so painful, man.
The other day I saw you can make fake abalone out of really? I did not know that. I guess it would have the same texture, yeah. Depending on the mushroom you use. The other day I saw fake chicken with mushroom. It looked really good. I've actually eaten, speaking of like fake meat, I have eaten the Impossible Burger before. And it was actually really good.
I haven't tried it before because it's like way too expensive.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of industries in terms of like veganism and everything, because there's less options, they make a lot of profit from just milking the people that want to eat healthy.
That's why it's impossible. It's impossibly priced.
Yeah.
Now my mom ordered it once because my mom was like, oh, just try law, and it was actually pretty decent. You could tell it wasn't like meat, but the texture was very, very meat-like, and I was like,
you were like,
damn.
are y'all sure this isn't meat?
Are y'all sure these are veggies? I watched the process of how it was made before, and it's wild. There's like 60 scientists just fucking like putting plants together.
Bruh.
Mogu's
Oh
dream job.
You should have been you should have been like, oh my god, I'm gay, but like this is some meat. This is what you should have said to your mother. I am pretty
No. Jail. Instantly kicked out. Instantly kicked out. That's not kicked out for even being fair. That's just kicked out for having the worst joke in the universe.
I think it was the best one yet.
Yeah, that's
like,
why
I will not.
You've made so many bad jokes. There's no best one. There's only the worst ones. I can compile a book of Jacko's worst jokes.
Wait, okay, if it's the worst ones, do you think it will get better?
No.
In the future?
They just get worse.
But then it cannot be the worst.
Worsening. Jacko's worsening jokes.
So they're technically right now they're comparably good to what's follow up in the future.
Yes, but that's the future. We live in the present, bitch.
You gotta consider the future, bro.
For what? Yeah, that's why there's such a big emphasis on free-range chickens and cows. Like, they inject hormones to speed up puberty in the chickens and cows so they produce eggs faster. What? The whole animal industry.
There's a lot of like
is
stuff,
horrible.
yeah, going on.
Yeah,
in
well,
the background.
Yeah, I know about that, obviously, but like, I don't know, man. Like I remember in like lower secondary geography class when my teacher was teaching us about like how much he went on a tangent as teachers do, and he was telling us about how much water gets used for like certain animals and when they're producing certain products and stuff. I think it was linked to water shortage as well, so that's why he was talking about it. And like cows use the most fucking water in the universe. They use so much fucking water to produce beef. And I was like, bro.
Why though?
I don't know, I guess because
like,
they're chunky animals. I don't know actually. He never explained it.
Bitch, I'm a cow. I'm not a cat. I don't say meow.
They're just not drinking water. They're just drinking a different...
alcohol.
Yeah.
She's drinking liquid weed.
Bro.
I mean,
yeah.
I feel very conflicted on the topic. Like I would like for the bad conditions of farming to like, you know, stop, and you know, for it to be good. But then it's capitalism.
Yeah.
So even if I make the effort to go vegan and everything, it's still like a questionable method of like, you know, consuming food, because the prices are so high, and like you don't even know like how a lot of that food is made as well.
Yeah. It's
so we're all kind of stuck.
I fucking man, I like you know, okay, you know that whole argument that like when like the whole global warming thing just became like apparent, and everyone was like, oh, you gotta cut down on your plastic usage and shit.
I really want to talk.
Mogu, do you want to join? You can join if you want. I will just pull up your little mushroom face on my screen.
Mogu joining the battle royale. No, Mogu is just vibing in the corner.
Does Mogu want to join? Does the little mushroom bitch that wants
Does
to join?
Mogu want to join? No, Mogu does not want to join.
Mogu does not want to join. This MF is like, I'm not gonna join, but then proceeds to write an entire fucking essay on like the food industry in my chat box.
Bruh. Twitter popped off.
It's okay. If you don't feel like talking, you can just type it in my little chat box. I will read it.
Yeah. Plus, we could also talk about something more lighthearted, like, you know, relating to our creative circles, such as art or writing.
Oh my god. Let's round out this topic first though. Personally, try my best to eat more mushrooms or fish products, but it doesn't work most of the time. Yeah, well, it'd be like that. I think, especially in like Singapore, where everything's like meat, right? So veganism is also really unethical because a lot of products like quinoa and beans are being harvested by... Really?
Yeah, that's why. Like I told you, like you're kind of screwed both ways. You know, there's a lot of unethicality when it comes to food production and stuff like that.
Well, obviously, but it's, I don't know. It's not things I actively think about because it makes me really sad.
Yeah, because like a lot of people go for veganism because they want to, for like bad conditions of farming and harvesting stuff to stop, and then they get into another way of like supporting that. So
yeah,
you know,
but at this time
it's a very difficult topic.
It's just bad labor.
Yeah, not the beans.
Not the beans. me when I went over and Mogu's dad gave us baked beans. But I don't wanna be rude, so I didn't say that I didn't like baked beans, and I just ate all of it. My brain, not the beans!
Look, baked beans are really good. Like,
no,
sometimes
they fucking taste rancid to me.
I don't know, man. You should have just given it to us.
I felt bad. Yeah, I know. I went into the room after that, and then Mogu was like, hello, you could have just given it to Jacko, and I was like, I feel bad.
I mean, I don't really get the stigma of like, you know, like especially when you're friends with somebody, like you can just eat stuff off their plate if they don't want it, like literally.
No, friends is one thing, but because Mogu's dad made the dinner, then I was like,
fair. Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. When it comes to faux meat such as tempeh, and it's mostly like white people stealing Asian food culture repackaged. That's I guess communism and farming lost. Communism. Anyway, ciao. Anyway.
Q&A with a Russian person. What is communism?
No, but like when Mogu brings these topics up, sometimes I feel like I'm not educated enough on these topics to like talk about them on live stream, which is why I was like, I don't mind Mogu coming in because Mogu knows way more than the both of us combined.
Exactly. Like honestly, like most of the time I prefer to just give an opinion if asked. Like I rarely ever post my like opinions on stuff online unless I'm either really passionate about it or it affects me personally. or I'm just chit-chatting with somebody, you know, close
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
I like talking about it.
You can get canceled for stuff so easily nowadays.
Oh God, tell me about it. Oh my God. Oops. Yeah, but like, I like talking about these kinds of things because, you know, it's introspective, and I don't, you know, it's not like normal topics that you can talk about with like I can't fucking go up to my group of guy friends who are all in fucking JC at this point and then you know, go like, let's think about the fucking consequences of the food industry. They're all gonna be like, but I want to watch like fucking, I don't know, soccer or some shit. I want to play FIFA, you know, like that's it's just not a conversation that I can probably have with like other people, especially my age, I think.
Yeah, I get that.
God. It's so bad. I remember like every time my friends come over, I wanna like talk to them and like, you know, get to like know them, because it, especially friends, I think friends from school, you like, it's pretty shallow in the sense that I know you, but I don't like know you. I know you because you have fucking games on your Switch, you know? But I don't know, like, every time they come over, it's fun because we play games together, but I don't, I feel like I don't know that much about them, solely because, first of all, they're all like cishet guys, right? So to get them to like open up, it's basically like trying to shove a crowbar in like in a super glued doll, you know? So I'm like,
It's like trying to pry a durian open with your bare hands.
Yeah, it's fucking painful. This topic's gonna do a whole 180 if I join properly. Well, I mean, I like listening to Mogu ramble about shit like that because it's really educational for me personally.
Yeah, a lot of it, like, it doesn't only provide like opinions and, you know, thoughts on a topic, but a lot of like factual stuff that I genuinely didn't know, and it forces like me to sometimes even change my own opinion for a Taurus. Oh my god!
Oh my god! A Taurus changing their opinion?
That's insane, honestly.
Please, on my good Christian stream, I now have the words Big Daddy Kim Jong-un in my chat box. Please get that out of here.
Who said that?
You guess.
I wonder.
Oh my god.
By the way, do you hear the clicking, like when I type and stuff like that?
Yes,
or
I can. Okay. I can, but it's not big.
Okay.
Deal. Guys, stop talking about communism in my chat, please.
Yeah, if
I'm gonna get fucking banned from YouTube.
Pain.
I'm literally gonna get fucking banned from YouTube. But
I mean, okay, let's talk about something lighthearted that like you literally cannot have a controversial opinion on.
RuPaul's Drag Race.
No, okay, but do you have any like questions for me, like interviewer? Like, oh my god, I want to be like, I want to be like those other people on your what's it called?
Transplant Talks.
Because I'm also technically like non-binary and everything.
Oh my god. Well,
I'm somewhere there. I don't know where, but I'm there.
You're in the Matrix.
Yeah. I'm technically in the Matrix, so I qualify.
Yeah. Okay, the communists hitting it off in my chat box. I'm just not gonna look at that for a while.
Okay, fair.
But yeah, okay, well,
your stream is a matchmaking site for communists.
No, that's just Russia.
Oh god. Okay, but go on.
How you didn't even deny it. You were like, yeah, that's about right. Well, what like have you just been drawing since young? Are you like every other artist that's like, I've been drawing since I could hold a pen?
I hate when they say that. You know why? Because it's not true. Like, there's a different state of drawing when you're like 6 years old, right? And when you're drawing with a purpose of like either expressing your love for like a character or like a fandom or whatever, you know? Like, your drawing as a kid is more of like a hobby to pass the time, like, you know, like doing jigsaw puzzles or like writing I don't know.
I once wrote.
What did I even do as a kid?
I wrote a really bad story and then I fucking stapled it together. That was my first official book, and I remember there was a lot of fart jokes inside, so not much has changed.
The fart jokes turned to like a paragraph about pencils.
No!
Okay. But like, yeah, as I was saying, I feel like a lot of people who say that, oh, like I was holding a pencil since I was like young, like I was drawing in the womb.
I was drawing in the womb.
There's such a difference. Like I was painting stuff in art class in 2nd grade. That wasn't the same type of drawing that I consider to be doing today. Like I distinctly remember I started drawing because I wanted to draw fan art for like Naruto characters.
Yeah.
Because I thought they were like really cool, and I saw the fan arts and everything on the internet, and I was like, oh, I want to do that as well. So like I started going from there, and I did a lot of like. At first, I tried like copying like art.
I think that's how a lot of people feels. That's how a lot of people start. Yeah.
I printed out drawings like from like Google or like Pixiv and stuff like that, and then I would put them underneath my notebook. You know those like lined paper?
Yeah.
That is like super thin, so you can kind of see through it.
You
so I would
fucking trace the art.
Yeah, I would just trace it, and then I would keep it in my notebook, and then sometimes like I would even show it to my classmates and be like, "Oh my god, yeah, look at it." And sometimes, you know, what's like the wildest thing to me is that I never really got that much like criticism. Like I only started posting it online like years after, you know, like when I did my own original stuff. So nobody ever like penalized me for tracing, but I don't understand how people actually found my art to be like nice looking. Like I remember my classmate even showed my art to like one of the teachers. I think it was like an English teacher, and he was like, "Oh yeah, look at what Jacko drew," and it was like this really ugly anime like girl on like a piece of paper, and he was like, "Oh my god, yeah, so cool."
How old were you?
I was like 11.
Yeah, see, nobody
10?
fucking insults. Nobody insults a 10-year-old.
12, 11-year-old, yeah.
Yeah, nobody insults a fucking kid.
I mean, kids insult each other sometimes, right? The only insult that I got that I distinctly remember was by my my grandma on my brother's side. She came over once. Like I barely even remember her presence in my life, and because we lived in Thailand by that time, but we came back to Russia for like a summer for like a bit to see our extended family and stuff like that. And she came over and she was like, "Oh my god, you've grown so much, etc. Like, what do you do now? Like, who do you want to be?" And I was like, "Oh, like I really want to be an animator," because I was in my Gravity Falls phase.
Oh my god.
And I was like, "Yeah, I really want to animate stuff like that." And yeah, and she was like, "Oh, do you like draw and everything?" Because I simplified it for her. I just said I want to be an artist.
Are you a drawer?
Are you a drawer? And I was like, yes. And I showed her my sketchbook at the time, which is like a bunch of like cartoon sketches and stuff like that. And she was like, "But did you know that like to be a drawer, you have to do like real art?" And I was like, "Hello? Is this not real art?"
Oh my god, I think you told me this. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just ran off crying, and I was like, "What?" But and she was like, "Oh yeah, you have to have actual talent and like draw real art." And I was like, "Bruh?" I don't know. It was a weird time. But yeah, then afterwards, like the most of the stuff that I did was just character art, and that's how it kind of went out from there. Like 90% of my friends, like long-term friends, came from me asking for an art trade with them. I would just DM them and be like, "Oh my god, your art is so cool, can we do an art trade?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah, sure.
So I guess, yeah, a lot of my art life is centered around like art in general, and it has been for a while.
Because I'm built different.
Yes.
But here's a question, right? And
yeah.
I know this is something that a lot of people, especially in like the creative field, kind of struggle with. Do you ever like get like imposter syndrome and stuff like that?
I have different types of imposter syndrome. Which one do you mean?
Okay, well, what do you mean?
like I sometimes feel like my work isn't my work. Like it feels so different from what I actually want to express or feel, and like I feel very disconnected from style of work. And sometimes I also feel like I'm not like creative enough to be in this like art industry, or you know, like to draw fan art and stuff like that, because I'm much more grounded than a lot of people that I talk to on a daily basis that are like also artists that are also kind of in the same field, and they're like, oh yeah, they're all very like artsy and like creative, and you know, let go of your like you know, shame and you know, be cringy and stuff like that. Like they don't really care about a lot of like stigma that surrounds artists, and they just do whatever they want. But for me, it's very difficult to get there, so I'm very grounded in that sense, and I feel very disconnected at times because of that like feeling of being more towards like the
left brain.
Should I say? Yeah, the left brain side than the right brain. Yeah.
Claude, is the music better now? Sorry, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Audio issues. Is the music better now? Cause I was listening to my stream to make sure the audio was okay, and I couldn't hear the music, but that was only just because I'm deaf. So, cause I took off only one side of my headphone, and my audio was pretty soft, so I probably couldn't hear it properly. But is it okay now? I just returned it to the original settings. Mogu says that their brain cells are trying to go at max speed right now. Please don't overheat. I would like my best friend to stay alive. Thank you very much.
The brain just rise.
Yeah. Well, sorry. What were you saying?
No, I was saying like, what did you mean by imposter syndrome in general? Because I feel like we experience it a bit differently. Maybe you meant something else. Can you like elaborate on what it's supposed to feel like?
No. I think okay. Well, obviously it's gonna be like different for everybody, but I just see like a lot of, especially like artists that are always like, oh, you know, they struggle with like imposter syndrome. So like it's a lot of people who like, oh, I didn't go to art school, so I'm not qualified as an artist, or like yeah, or like I didn't work, I didn't do art as long as everybody else, so I'm not qualified to be an artist. I don't have this many followers, so I'm not, you know, or I'm like, they're like, there's this certain aspects to their work that they don't like, so they feel like they don't belong, or stuff like that.
I understand what you mean a lot, like in terms of like not feeling like they belong in a certain community of art, especially if you're pursuing it in terms of being either a freelance artist or doing commissions and everything. Because for a lot of artists like me, like, you know, I draw fan art most of the time, and it's such a niche when you realize that, like, you know, there's a lot more people doing more general stuff like graphic design or general illustration, you know, like the corporate style, with like wobbly stick figures and stuff like that. Like, they do more of that than actually like painting and everything. And because each person in the community where you belong technically has a very distinct style, you cannot really, you know, find any examples of who you would like to be, or who you would like to hang out with, or, you know, who is like really similar to you, which can be a good thing, and it can also be a bad thing, because then you don't really feel like you belong because you're so different. Like for me, I also feel like that sometimes, because I'm in design school, but a lot of people in my course, their way of designing stuff is very like graphic design, like minimalism, or like they reject, you know, design principles in order to be creative and stuff like that. So they design a lot of
the kind of people that are like, I coded my entire Tumblr page.
Yeah, and they also do stuff like very abstract things. You know, like Andy Warhol, like type of stuff.
Okay, yeah, I got the picture now.
That, but like in a digital form, pretty much. So they really try to be like super out there, which is the opposite of what I like to do. For me, art is more about really like the aesthetic of it, like just the expression, not really about trying to be different, but more about just trying to just, you know, do what you like. But that really collides with the fact that I have to work for people and do what they like.
That's why I didn't pursue. That's why I didn't.
Yeah.
Like, cause there's a diploma in Singapore Poly that you could choose a specialization in creative writing, but that's the reason that I didn't wanna study that, because initially I was like, oh, like, it could be fun, right? Being a professional writer and everything,
Mm-hmm.
like writing in terms of like journalism or like script writing and stuff like that, right? But when I opened commissions for the first time, I realized that, fuck, dude, it gets really like repetitive if you don't like what you're writing. Like when you do it for other people, it's fun at first because obviously there's money involved, and you're like, oh my god, I'm making cash off the thing that I really love doing. But especially since I priced myself pretty low when I first started out, as most people do, right? I was writing like 8K fics for $4 at 500 words. So
oh my
the
god.
the whole thing I got for that was 70. Which is what I get for like a fucking 2K fic now. Right.
Oh my god, that's a lot. You're making
money, bro.
Next time I come over to your house, I'll just find your like safety deposit and be like, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just I feel like there's a lot of things that people don't realize when, especially kids our age, I think, maybe more so mine than yours, in the terms that it's like when you have this thing that you really like doing, but especially if it's in the arts sector, then you're like, oh, I can fucking make a living off of this, but then you don't realize how robotic the corporate world can be.
There's so much more that comes with actually pursuing it as a career, and that's what I was also really scared of before I went into design school. But I came there because I didn't really have much of a choice. Like I needed to do a course that I could do well in and not fail. So my choices for choosing a course in Singapore were either design, or I was gonna choose, I think, English language, or like something cultural, or like philosophy related and stuff like that, because I could either be an English teacher or a designer. And I was really scared of the whole design thing, simply because I was scared that I would just lose my passion for drawing in general, because it would become so repetitive. And even doing like freelance design, like there's so much more that comes with having your own brand, your personality online, and managing all of that in order to cater to other people's interests, to make yourself more to have more appeal to the general audience and stuff like that.
Sellable, yes.
Yeah, while not losing your spark and like your thing that you do. It's almost impossible. It's insane. The amount of effort that you have to put in consciously to kind of maintain that image of yourself online it's insane. And especially after being like quote unquote canceled, it's also like you lose a lot of like motivation to keep going. Even if you like drawing, you become dependent on the fact that people like your art or like your writing, for example, and you get into the cycle of producing it solely for either a financial benefit or a social benefit. Like more followers or more for example, likes or shares on Instagram. And when people suddenly turn against you, you'll lose all of that pretty much. And you're kind of stuck with yourself, and you don't even have any sort of safety net. And for a lot of jobs, you do have the safety net of like still having your resume, still having the things you've done as a thing of like you can go to another job, and like after some time you will get back on your feet. But in some art communities, the circle of people that are interested in you is like it's very small. Like while you still can get by and have a lot of interest in your art from other people, once you get like canceled or rejected from that community, you're really just lost, and you're like, what do I do now? Like what happened with me was like in the JoJo community, right? Like a lot of people didn't really like me after something that I did, And after that, you don't really know where to go because you don't have that source of income. You don't have that source of attention on like social media. Like you cannot, the brand you've been building, no matter how much work you have left after, being rejected from the group, doesn't really matter because it doesn't matter to the other groups of people that could potentially like you because it's not their kind of content. And it's the problem of kind of being in the niche as well.
Well, I sympathize in the sense that being a VTuber is sort of the same thing, but at the same time, in terms of I say it's easier to like put out a brand in a sense as a VTuber because it's easier to like showcase your personality and like the real intentions behind your opinions when you're verbally talking. But in the sense of writing, I can't really relate because obviously a lot of writing it's a lot less collated than like artists on like Instagram or Twitter, for example, because AO3 is where most of everybody's shit goes, and AO3 is such like a jumbled fucking mess in the best way possible that even if you find like an author that you really like, usually it's because you stumbled across their fic, and then there's no like, first of all, like AO3 doesn't really have an app, so it's not as easy to like follow. And if you subscribe to an author, you get emails, but emails?
Really?
Yeah, you get emails.
Emails?
Like I'm subscribed to a few, but from personal experience, as much as I love their writing, there's only like 1 or 2 authors, even though I've subscribed to like 20 plus, there's only 1 or 2 authors that I click the links in the email for. Otherwise, I usually just don't bother, so it's a lot less convenient in that sense. But because of, I suppose, the quote-unquote anonymity of the AO3 and everything, I guess there's less of a chance of you being cancelled, unless your fics get like super popular, like what happened to the author of that Salvin fic and stuff like that. But as I'm a pretty small writer, most of the people who commission me are people I've met in Zines, my friends like spreading the word, and then people liking my writing. But I don't have like a mass audience. I don't have a congregated audience like you do.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I can't really
feel like
use
for
my
you,
I can't really use my Twitter following as an example of that, because people on Twitter follow me because I fucking retweet memes all the time, like, so I personally, that's less of a risk for me because I don't like harper on the fact that I have this amount of followings, I have this. So in that sense, it's easier to create content for me outside
which is
of
understandable.
like,
Yeah. I was at some point like that as well. Like for me, a community that I was creating the content for, it felt more like I don't know, it's a bit cringy to say, but it felt more like a family, so to say.
Token Rambo.
We're like, I mean, I guess, yeah. Like at some point, like I was really active on Twitter, creating Token Rambo content, and it was a bit chill. Like I knew the people that were, also creating content. We were friends, and there wasn't that much drama because not that many people got involved. And when something bad did happen, it wouldn't be that big of an issue because people would not misinterpret things as much, or like it wouldn't get out of hand very quickly. Like it would just be solved and stuff like that. And yeah, I felt a lot more safe, and like it was a lot more predictable during that time, that I knew that I was gonna create a piece and it was gonna receive a certain amount of attention. And yeah, it was very kind of satisfying that like I had a certain following that was that engaged with me on a regular basis. I feel like for you as a VTuber, you have that right now.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like that's a very comfortable position, like knowing that a certain amount of people
will
come, a certain amount of people will support you. Exactly. Like even I would still prefer that to gaining the amount of followers I have right now on Instagram, because that spike was like it was a rush of I would say endorphin. But after a while, when you start to see like a lack of attention still like being directed to you, like it starts to decrease eventually. Like good things can never last, but it starts to decrease eventually, and you just keep getting disappointed with yourself.
I feel like when you have a big following count, the bigger the following count, the bigger the amount of followers you have, the wider the gap between the engagement on your posts and the actual following.
Yeah,
which
fair.
just leaves a lot of room for disappointment.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm pretty good.
I don't know.
I'm a small content creator.
And sometimes, like, even if you want to grow, you can't really control how much you grow. Like, even if you put out a lot of content, and sometimes I've had friends that didn't really want an audience. They just wanted to put out stuff, just for the sake of it, or like to have it as a portfolio.
Yeah, I have.
But then they gather a lot of attention, and then they don't know what to do with it, so it goes out of hand as well.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it never. It's always the opposite of what you want from social media that you get.
Right.
Like you don't want attention, and then everybody comes swarming, like looking at you and stuff like that.
And then suddenly you're a fucking honey to a bee, baby.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I was complaining about this. I was complaining about this this very morning. I was talking to my friend Cam about it, and I was like, it's fucking difficult to grow because the vTuber community is so saturated. And like it's so difficult. Sorry, I was checking the music because suddenly it's just playing static noise, but I think that's just the build up of the lo-fi.
Build up.
I can hear a cassette tape being put in. There we go. Okay. But yeah, so here's the thing, right? And this is a common like point of a quote unquote controversy, but also kind of facts in the VTuber community. It's the easiest way to grow as an English VTuber is to be a female NSFW VTuber, right?
Which is fair enough.
Because
that's how the system works.
Everybody look at female NSFW VTubers and go, oh wow, boobas.
Yeah.
Right?
Like,
and like, yeah, I get it.
It's sad, but also
it's sad, but also I get it. Especially since the way the VTuber community boomed in popularity is because it's mostly catered to the male audience, right?
Yeah.
So then the second easiest is female SFW VTubers, because obviously they're still girls, they're still pretty, they're still cute, And yeah, like Claude said, no one likes male presenting VTubers. It's easy. Okay, I'd say there's a lot of I personally have a few like male VTuber friends that are pretty popular and their growth is pretty steady, but that's either A, because they're cis, so they have deep voices and it's like sexy and shit, right? And they're NSFW. I have a friend who did an NSF. He's a voice actor, or he's trying to be, or something like that. And he did an NSFW like kind of ASMR audio for Valentine's Day that got really popular, and that's how he, that's one contributing factor to the fact that he got so popular. I have another one who, for all of his follower milestones, he releases NSFW art. And so most of my like male VTuber friends are NSFW, so that caters to that audience, because there's also a lot of queer people in the VTuber community, and a lot of cis girls in the cis-het girls in the VTuber community. So they're all like, wow, beanies,
Ooga.
Ooga. And the category that I fall into, is the hardest category to grow, which is male SFW VTubers, right? And I don't have, I would say I don't have a particularly striking design. So like, you know, I'd say my design is like pretty simple. It's simple, but it represents me. So I don't want to like change it or anything. But I don't have like, you know, I'm not like a super Ike man or anything. So it's people are like, oh, okay.
I feel like it's not like people aren't drawn to it as much because it doesn't involve the element of like dating, quote unquote, the person that you're watching. Like, you know, there's always like, you know, otome games and stuff like that. There's always this like ambiguity of like, oh my god, does that person like me? Like even subconsciously.
Yes.
Like, and that's why people are drawn to them. Like the female YouTubers, for the males, they feel some sort of like either attention directed at them, or for like
what
the
daddy
opposite,
issues does to an MF.
It's either attention directed at them, or the VTuber is popular enough to not notice some of their fan base, so they feel like this kind of like neglection draws them in more to know more about the person. So they're like, oh my god, they're kind of interested in, and you know,
it's the
like,
mystery factor. It's the
them.
mystery factor. Yeah.
It's either the mystery or the attention that you haven't, you know, like they pay attention to you, so you're like, oh my god, that's so cool. Like I want more of that.
Unfortunately, I am not only am I a small content creator, but I'm also a Pisces. So I fucking make friends with everybody that pops by on my streams.
Yeah, because I feel like your way of making friends with people is more of like oh, you guys are so cute, no, you're so cute, like, you know, like that kind of like it doesn't involve the ambiguity of romance to it. I feel like you know, like it sounds a bit weird, but like I'm trying to explain it in a more like
no, I know
way.
what you mean. I give off very friend vibes.
Yeah, just friend vibes.
Friend vibes, you know? Yeah, I get what you mean.
So a lot of people aren't like it's a very subconscious thing. Like you can't
I know what you mean.
Like so they're not drawn to that.
Yeah, like what were we talking about last week? The whole like, you know, where the line ends with friendship, platonic feelings, and begins with romantic feelings. I feel like that line blurs for me once I get to like really know a person, but I think for a lot of like NSFW VTubers, that line is blurred at the like almost at the very beginning, which is what makes everybody so interested. I get what you mean.
Exactly, because you get to see like a very vulnerable side of them if it's NSFW, right? And you feel like you know that person, so that draws you in.
I mean, I guess. I mean, as an asexual.
Oh yeah, sorry, you won't get it.
It's not that I don't get it. It's just that like, I don't get it. Like, I understand the intimacy and like, you know, and everything, but I don't. That's one way of knowing a person, but at the same time, I don't feel like that's properly, quote unquote, knowing a person. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like when you consciously want to get to know somebody, you don't really become infatuated with them from far away. You really, you know, go in and talk to them and stuff like that. But the way that YouTubers and a lot of other celebrities function is that they give you the ambiguity of them wanting to get to know you, and you get drawn to that. Especially more than their actual personality.
A lot of celebrities are always like, I love you guys so much.
Yeah, and stuff like that. Or like you find somebody that is inaccessible but would be the type of person that you would talk to in real life, and you feel connection even though there is none. Like you guys don't even know of each other. Like, sorry, no, they don't know that you exist.
Yeah.
But you're like, oh my god, that person is like so cool.
That's the entire K-pop fandom.
Yep. So that's how it builds up.
Parasocial relationships.
Yeah, parasocial
relationships. That's the word. Thank you. I wouldn't say I'm super male or female, but I
Mogu big brain.
Mogu, you just look like a mushroom. I think that's the goal, right? I look like a Shota. No, you're a mushroom.
Mushroom sexual.
Well, yeah, man. I don't know, man.
Honestly, just do you. Like, you're
Mm.
not doing this as a career. As long as you're enjoying it, and like, I know it sounds like very basic, but as long as you're enjoying yourself as a character,
Yeah, I am.
and
That's the thing.
yeah, just keep doing you. Honestly, like, you don't owe anybody anything.
Because since I was a kid, and my mom's always talked about
Man.
this. Man. Every time I like play video games and stuff, I've always just fucking commentated everything to myself. I never shut up. Like just now, literally this afternoon, I was playing Persona, and I started fucking crying. And my mom was like, "What are you crying about?" I was like, right? So like, as my cousin has always told me that I would be a very good like let's player or live streamer and stuff, because I have that ability to really empathize with characters and get really into the story, which can be very engaging. And I also know a lot about video games. So in this, in the
you're
same
also
way,
Pisces.
I'm also a Pisces. So like, think of it like in the same way that Mogu knows about like mushrooms and like social issues, I know about video games.
Fair enough.
Right?
What do you think my thing is, though? Like, if Mobu's is mushrooms and yours is video games, and Ikemen Revolution.
I don't know. I feel like you're very as a Taurus, right? A lot of Taurus that I know aren't like super in touch with their emotions, but I feel like that's something that you're trying to grow out of recently, so I feel like your thing is
super in touch with their emotions in a good way, or like how?
Well, let's take my mom for example. My mother would not know the first thing about why I like cry over video games and stuff like that. She doesn't even fucking watch cutscenes in video games.
No, but then you just said super in touch with their emotions. Did I?
No, I said super not in touch with their emotions. Yeah. So I said a lot of Taurus that I know aren't super in touch with their emotions.
I see. I get it.
Yes.
Okay.
So I feel like that's something that you're trying to break out of.
My Pisces mood is trying to break out of that.
Yeah, right? So I don't know, I feel like every time I talk to you, we always have like a pretty cool conversation about, feelings and stuff like that, which is not really something I talk about with a lot of other people.
Trying to feel anger.
Who?
Sorry. Ignore the mushrooms. Yes.
Real tea? But yeah, I feel like that's something that you're trying to break out of, which is something I respect a lot, because it's the same philosophy for me for different things, but I can understand the struggle of trying to break out of something that you've kind of built your entire personality on. Where Jacko spent an entire... It's okay. Cam does that as well. Like,
what did they say?
I'm legally not allowed to say it.
Can you read it out loud?
I'm legally
is
not.
Comment on the stream.
Yes, I'm legally not allowed to say it.
Wait, I will go on the stream and look at the comments.
I don't want to be involved in this mess.
What is this? Okay. Yeah, I mean, for me, okay, let me go on a bit of a tangent.
All right.
Trying to expose me. I don't feel like 99% of the time when I'm feeling angry with somebody, I don't feel like it's rational in order like to express that anger, like because it's like something stupid that will pass eventually, and anger will not make it better. So I've learned to suppress it most of the time and just be understanding and patient with people. But sometimes, for some people, I will not name anybody, but they're like, why can't you just scream at me? Like, why can't you just get angry? Like, what? I don't get it. And for me, it literally causes I don't understand why I need to get angry in order to get a point across.
Yeah. Okay, well, personally, I understand a lot of where you're coming from. I don't empathize with it, but I definitely understand it because my sibling, not my actual sibling, Cam. Cam is a lot like you in the sense that they repress a lot of their emotions, especially before they met me. Because I'm a Pisces, it kind of infected them.
Liberation of Pisces.
Liberation Pisces style. I meet people. I you know like a game of virus. I touch them and they fucking get enlightenment, right?
Yes.
But Cam like always. Cam rarely gets angry. Cam doesn't. There was a period of time, it's a lot better now, but because Cam and I have been friends for almost 2 years now. When we first met back in like 2019, Cam couldn't cry. Like whenever they felt sad, they couldn't even like, they would shed like one tear and then it just be gone. Well, I'm the type of person who can cry for like 3 hours straight, right? So like, and then
I understand that. I respect that because I feel like in my case, like I can experience the full spectrum of emotions internally, but I don't feel the need to express them to somebody unless that will help solve a problem that we're experiencing right now. Like if I were to get into an argument with somebody, I would rather like, I would be annoyed, but I would still try to kind of compose myself and talk it through so that it's solved, like, you know, for the fastest and easiest way possible, instead of saying, oh, I hate you, like, I wish you were dead, because I don't mean it, you know?
Yeah.
And going back and feeling stupid for saying that and apologizing for it is, like, it's more embarrassing than just being calm about it.
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Cam's
save energy.
Cam's slightly different in the sense that it's not that they don't feel like it's necessary to express it, they physically cannot express it.
Fair. There's a difference,
yeah, there's a difference obviously, but yeah, I kind of get it, you know, especially since they physically can't express it because whenever they did, they would get scolded or like it was pointless. So it's sort of similar, there's a lot of overlap. It's a Venn diagram, you know, kind of thing.
Yes.
But they're in Aries.
And
I don't know how that works.
You love a Venn diagram.
But they're in Aries, so I don't know how that works.
Okay, fair.
But yeah, you know, personally, I've solved a lot of problems with Cam by getting angry at them. But then again, I'm the kind of person who has learned to be very rational even when I'm angry. Because of
Taurus upbringing.
Yeah. That is the Taurus upbringing, basically. Like, I've had to fight my way through so many situations or argue my way through so many situations that explaining it calm wouldn't have the same impact as explaining it with like an angry tone, but at the same time I've had to learn to be in control of what I'm saying without trying to, especially since, you know, growing up I've watched my mom kind of spiral out of arguments to prove a point that doesn't make sense anymore. Taurus lifestyle. So, you know, that's something that I've actively like trained myself to avoid. So I feel like personally there's some situations that you can't really get out of without being angry, because I feel like anger is a really volatile emotion, and it's especially if you're like, obviously you're not the type of person to get angry very easily. I'm not the type of person to get angry very easily. But like that's especially why when, you know, you get angry, it's even more impactful for the point that you're trying to prove, or, you know, the thing that you're trying to do, because it's raw emotion, which is something that's very human.
Exactly.
I'm
yeah.
a mermaid.
I feel like when I am angry, I am trying to prove a point to somebody, and I would rather save that feeling and that, like, you know, meaningfulness for something really, really important than to constantly feel angry at something to the point where the person doesn't really trust me. Like with, like, they don't assess the situation correctly and how important a topic is to me, because I'm constantly angry or I'm constantly upset with something, like to the point where they're like, oh, because they're upset all the time, that doesn't matter. Like, it's one of those things that they're just constantly upset over. But if I really, you know, get to like spiral out of control and just scream at somebody, then they're like, oh shit.
They're like, uh-oh.
Yeah. But for me, it's even subconsciously at this point, like even though I don't recall a time where I was really feeling like angry with somebody. It's either 90% of it is either annoyance or anger is either it's just really deep-seated anger, like for example, parental issues where you cannot forgive somebody.
Yes.
And you're just angry at them because there's so much of stuff that piled up that you were just really not able to put up with.
I get the deep-seated one because obviously, but like, I had really, really bad like temper issues when I was younger. So there was one time I was a class monitor in primary school, and I like threw a marker onto the floor, and it smeared across the room because nobody would shut up. And I got angry really easily. I got annoyed really easily. I was super sensitive. I'm still super sensitive, right? But I've growing up and everything, first of all, that kind of died down. And second of all, I get more annoyed at things than I do angry.
Fair.
I still get angry, but not like easily in the regular sense of the word. I'd say, like, for example, if an issue, if my friend's been saying, so this is what usually happens with Cam, right? Cam will say something that like bothers me personally, and I'll brush it off first, but if they repeat it, then I get angry at it because we've like not that we've talked about it, but it's a thing that they should logically know that would affect me, and then I've gotten angry at them for it before. But it's worked out for us mostly because I'm not the type of person to get angry like that, so it really hits how fucking pissed that made me. Or like, for another good example, a recent example, whenever Mogu like does stupid shit, right, I'm like, it comes from a place of love and not like a place of hatred. Like, that's why whenever I get angry, I don't like, I'm not like the type of person who's like, I hate you, fucking fuck you, fucking right?
Yeah, I feel like those kinds of people, I really am not in the type, like, I'm not the type of person to be friends with those kinds of people, because all, like, 90% of the stuff that I say in a serious tone or in a serious situation, if I say something like I hate you, that means I mean it.
Yeah.
And if they throw words around like that all the time, I don't, like, I feel subconsciously hurt.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I definitely get that. Like, I take everything, I take a lot of things at face value because I'm very trusting of people, which is something that my mom calls me out for all the time, and she's like, you're very naive in that sense, and I'm like, yeah, I know.
It's not only that, you can take things at face value in order to establish a trustful bond between each other, so that you know when things are serious and when things aren't. I feel like that's super important between, like, for example, two friends or in a relationship. Like, you know each other's boundaries, and you know which words are hurtful and which ones aren't, and you know what that means in general. But to have like that ambiguity and constantly not like know what that person means, it isn't like, you shouldn't aspire to be like that. I feel like naivety doesn't really play a part in it.
I don't know, my mom is just always like, you're so naive, and I'm like, huh? I'm like, what?
just because I have a better life than you don't
I'm out here fucking like playing Persona while she's doing work. You're so naive, and I'm like, huh?
What?
Mogu, bro, I used to get into physical fights in school. I could never. I used to threaten people all the time. I was always like, I'll hit you, and then they'll be like, a few of them would be like, okay, but then I think after a while people realized it was like empty threats, and then some of them would be like, okay, lol, do it, and I'm like, I'm a Pisces.
For me, I like, whenever I am angry or I'm thinking of saying something mean to a person or do something mean, like, technically, if somebody started a fight with me, right, I would, be able to beat them up, right? In theory.
Yeah.
Kung Fu Panda style. But for me, doing anything that is an expression of my annoyance or anger is like a physical motion, like throwing something, breaking something, hitting someone, you know. For me, I instantly de-escalate those thoughts at the thought of it's not gonna be a purposeful thing. Like, it's not gonna cause any sort of positive outcome. It's either gonna, for example, if I were to get really angry and if I wanted to throw my phone on impulse, I was like, oh no, it's gonna break my phone. Why would I do that? Why would I cause that negative impact on myself?
Mogu literally just typed, I used to get so mad at my group mates during German class, I just like throw my phone on scripts at them.
Literally, yeah. That, for me, I have such a deep, like, seated filter for that particular, like, thought process, to the point where I would not even be able to physically do it.
But have you ever like thought of doing, you know, in place of that, have you ever thought of doing those like smashing old, you know when people go to like warehouses or those they smash like the old like furniture and shit, or like the TVs? Have you seen those?
Yeah, but I feel like it wouldn't cause me any satisfaction.
Really?
Like, I think about doing a lot of impulsive things all the time, you know?
God, I feel like that'd be so therapeutic for me personally.
No, I would just feel guilty. Like, I would just feel guilty for even paying to be there when I could have solved my issues through a calmer and more, you know, collected way.
I guess. Well...
Like, I wouldn't even try because it just would make me happy.
Well, I mean, when I was, you know, really going through it last year and everything, I used to bang my head into the wall a lot. That's where my brain cells went. But that kind of violence is a common thing with my mentally ill family.
Oh, actually, in terms of banging your head or like doing things that are like with your body, like hitting your hand or
I
stuff
don't.
like that.
The thing is, the difference is that I don't want. I also like don't throw my phone and stuff because I'm like, no, that's expensive. But I don't mind if the harm comes to me, which is not a good thing, but.
For me, the way that my logic works is that when I'm really, really stressed out, or I tend to get overwhelmed in like very loud places, eating at PTMs, like today I was not really feeling well at all because of the amount of noise that was there, and I was kind of forced to sit there at the table, and I was like, argh.
I know.
And then there was like a baby crying in the bus on the way home, and I was just like, bruh. And things like hitting your hands or like pulling your like leg hair out, or like I don't know, hitting your head on like the wall, stuff like that doesn't cause permanent damage or any negative impact on you. For me, that is subconsciously acceptable. So sometimes I do it on complete impulse. Like, I can't, like, I need to be so stressed to the point where I cannot even control that. I cannot even like have the thought process of like, oh, whether or not that's, you know, rational anymore. I'm just like, fuck it, man. Let's go.
I get that. But mine is less of a logical thing that's like, oh, that's won't cause me any permanent damage. My goal is actually to permanently damage. Because especially when I'm in those moods, then it's kind of like I like deserve it. Kind of. And this entire thing is a little bit of a trigger warning. But yeah, and I used to write. That's the thing. I got really into writing because of those things. Because, like, you know, logically I knew that it wasn't good for me, but you know, I can't fucking control my panic attacks or shit like that. So, in order to stop myself from harming myself in any way, I would open a Google Docs. And I have some really, really fucking gory or like violent shit or graphic stuff that I've written as a sort of therapy or release from those kind of feelings, because once I write everything out, then I feel a lot calmer. And the same thing works for like my panic attacks or like my, you know, depressive
you
episodes.
get busy with something. You have to concentrate
or my
on something
depressive
else,
episodes and stuff like that. And for me, when I feel feelings like that or like really intense emotions, it kind of falls into words in my head, and then I just kind of write it out. So it's not like a source of inspiration, but it's kind of like for example, my entire anthology that I'm releasing in like 2 weeks is
It's just that.
It's just that. Yeah. It's a lot of things that I've written while I was in like calming down from a panic attack, or you know, calming down from a panic attack, or you know, like it was right. A lot of the pieces that I've written are usually about people or incidents that just happened, or people that just hurt me. So I write it down to kind of process
a
my
diary
emotions.
of Death Note. It's just like a whole like notebook of the people that hurt you.
No. I write their name and they instantly fucking die. No, it's more of a way to writing stuff like that is more of a way for me to process my emotions. If not, it kind of gets really fucking jumbled in my head, and it's not healthy for me.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because I was experiencing some stuff like recently with, you know, like my friend's situations and stuff like that. And I've had instances where it would get to the point where I would just be so like concerned with what's in my head, like, you know, like violent thoughts and stuff like that. And then when I write it out, I'm like, oh, 5 minutes later, like I go to the toilet, I look back at it, I'm like, ew, cringe. Like it instantly just becomes so small of an issue to the point where like I'm just like, yeah, that's much better now. Like, but in your head it's so big.
Yeah. You get it. That's why writing is so therapeutic for me, and that's why I've like, you know, I think I've been writing since I was 11, but that was all fan fiction. I think when I really this is so cliche, but like when I really fell in love with writing is kind of when, you know, I started using it as a means to calm down from my panic attacks and like process my emotions fully, because then it helped me understand myself in ways that I couldn't before. You know, because it's seeing, because I don't think when I'm writing those pieces, I'm just like shitting out my feelings into a fucking Google Doc. So once I calm down from everything, I take an objective look at what I just wrote, and I'm like, okay, so that's how I felt about the whole thing, and that's, you know, that's how that's affected me, and I'll take note of that, you know, that kind of thing. Then the Taurus kicks back in.
I think the way that you process that stuff is, I would say it's a kind of a good way to manage it. For me, I'm still on the way to doing that all the time. Like sometimes I would do it on like very severe occasions, but most of the time I would have like violent thoughts and stuff like that, and I would just kind of let them stay there for a while until I forget and move on to another thing, you know? Like I wouldn't, for me, it would also be the logical path of like, oh, should I really waste my time and get up and sit down?
Not the Taurus blood!
To the times where I really, you know, need to take control of myself, I sit down, I write it, I move my hand, and then I read it.
Yeah. Well, I don't, you know, I never instantly write it. It's more like I get a panic attack, I cry, and then I kind of sit there and, you know, feel sad for a bit, because I feel like that is something that, you know, that's very hard to do, but it's something that's necessary to do. Like when you feel sad, I think you should just, that's something a lot of people don't do, just let yourself feel sad for a bit.
Yeah.
Obviously not everyone has the luxury of sitting around and feeling sad, but you know, when you do feel
I like
sad,
to do that at night.
Yeah.
Just kind of sit with myself, like listen to music and stuff like that, and just kind of process a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, instead of writing, instead of doing something, I would rather just kind of absorb some media. Like for example, music really helps me. Like if it's a track or something like that relates to what I'm feeling currently, I would listen to it in order to process my thoughts, because I'm more occupied with kind of absorbing the track and thinking about that with my thoughts. So it just becomes less jumbled and stuff like that, because somebody already kind of sorted it out for me and they figured it out. They put it in a, you know, song.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I get it. I get that. It's sort of like figuring out the relatability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You with your little monkeys.
Well, I don't like write it out in the sense that it's not like a diary where I'm like today I felt like this. I feel
I
like
used to have a
this.
diary.
Huh? Yeah.
Experience.
I respect the hustle. But I'm just saying that's not how I personally like process. I don't write it out like factually. I write it out in the way that my brain is writing it out, which is in the most fucking sing-song poetry type beat possible.
Fair.
Because that's it. Kind of I don't know how to explain it, man. It kind of like turns into imagery that turns into words. Because every time each panic attack feels different, but the same. Yeah, right. So when it feels different, I feel like that's a new kind of. I kind of separate these things into mood boards. Like I helped my friend make a mood board recently for their fic because I kind of
making a mood board for my panic attack.
So it ties in a lot to like my personal writing process, but like when I write stuff, especially fics, I have kind of this mood board in my head of the aesthetic that I want to go for, and then I write that out so to get the thing across. So recently I made kind of like a Greek god, like a lot of leaves, a lot of gold leaf kind of mood board thing for my friend who was writing something. And it personally helps me a lot with how I want to visualize how everything looks and the kind of feel of the fic. So essentially what happens is whenever I get a panic attack, that's a new mood board, baby. So
fair enough. Yeah.
So I write it out according to that mood board in my normal writing style, and then that's just how I process things. Each panic attack is a mood board.
I feel like it's kind of like an influx of emotions as well. You're experiencing something new, and that's also like, it can be inspirational to do things with it, like to kind of transform that new emotion into something like a mood board, for example.
That's such a fucking Tumblr thing to say, though. My panic attacks are mood boards.
Look, your entire presence is like you've embraced the cringe of it. I feel like at this point, and you don't really care.
I've embraced the process of it because I know I'm confident in the fact that what I write.
It's really commendable. Yeah.
Thank you.
For me, anything that I do, I'm just like, no, that's cringe, and then I just delete it instantly.
That's mostly because I'm confident in the fact that the end product is good.
Sure, you keep believing that.
At least that's like I have a lot of I put a lot of pride and self-confidence in my writing.
Prejudice. Okay, yeah. That it's good to have. I feel like especially for writers.
Yeah.
Because it's more difficult for you guys to get famous from your stuff. So like you really have to kind of put it out there.
Yeah, I have a lot of confidence and a lot of pride in my writing, so I've kind of embraced the fact that my entire process is kind of hard to explain and kind of cringy in the sense that because no matter how like cringy or weird my process is, I'm confident in the end product, and honestly I think that's all that matters, at least to me.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that goes into the public. People don't fucking see the mood boards in my head. Right? So like that doesn't matter, It used to be dry
I
for me,
understand.
but recently it's gotten really bad, so I'm able to. Oh no, you can't. And yeah, I respect. Well,
Men.
Like I don't know how artists do it. How do y'all fucking do Ven art when you're supposed to worry about like anatomy and like coloring and shit? I'm like, how the fuck does Ven art work?
Sometimes when I didn't care about anatomy and coloring and stuff like that, I would just draw it out and be like, but now I care too much, so I just never draw anything unless I'm like, yeah, this is like 100% good idea, and then I get to drawing it.
Yeah, valid. Because Mogul
like,
was just
I barely sketch.
Because Mogul is just like, it used to be drawing to help with panic attacks, but it's gotten really bad. And that's something that I've never understood personally. Like, how do you all fucking do fan art? Because for me, English is my native language, so it's really easy to write out my feelings like that. Because first of all, I'm so used to writing that, using that kind of flowery language is second nature to me. And also English is how I talk. So it flows very easily, but I cannot imagine how jarring it must be after you get through, like, I don't know, the initial sketch and the emotions are all up and you're like, okay, well, shit. You know?
Yeah, I totally get that. Like, for me, I barely do any event art, like, unless I'm really affected by something. Like, for example, I had issues with some of the people that I used to talk to, and, like, I really missed them, and that was, like, a constant feeling that I couldn't really push out of my brain.
That you would think about at night with your music.
Yeah, so I would turn out my music, and then I would draw it, like, but I wouldn't really call it event art, because that was sometimes, like, I was just in that mood where I just kind of needed to push out my emotions, so I made a piece themed around it, and I just felt better because it was kind of just out there. I spent some time processing,
what I do,
chewing it over.
Yeah, chewing it over like a dog. But my Ven art is just all my photo studies. It's easy to focus on a study than focus on your feeling. Well, yeah, I think we process. I think all three of us process emotions very, very differently.
Yeah.
I feel like Mogu is the type who, instead of, like, fully processing it, they process it through doing other completely unrelated things.
Yeah.
Because
kind of pushing it to the back.
Yeah, but it not in an unhealthy way either. I think it's more of like a, because it's not good for everybody. You're sitting on your emotions and thinking about it actively like that. It's not something that everybody can do, because sometimes it can just be too overwhelming for somebody, you know?
Suppression Olympics. Jacko is the winner.
So, like, for Mogo, it's easier to focus on, like, studies and stuff, I guess.
I cope by walking in the forest to find mushrooms.
Yeah.
Mogo walks in the forest and finds mushrooms.
Yeah, but that's their way of coping, and I respect that.
That's bad.
Like,
okay, in terms of sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Your train of thought, but we're at midnight in our time there already. What time are you planning to wrap up roughly?
I told my sister 12, but the conversation was still going, so I was just waiting for the conversation to end. Then I would have been like,
No, I mean, just to sum up the entire topic, like, I feel like a lot of people cope differently based on what they're raised and what environment they're in right now. Yeah, and there's no truly completely healthy way to do it, because then, we wouldn't be mentally ill.
I feel like what classifies a healthy coping mechanism, if it doesn't harm you or other people in any way, then that's a healthy coping mechanism. You know? So
yeah. I feel like with some mechanisms that are deemed super healthy and stuff like that, like
exercise.
You can always go too far with them, or like make them all to yourself, like if you do it the wrong way, or you overdo it and stuff like that. Like, because for me, rationalizing stuff is good, right? In theory, unless you do it too much and every single time, you know? Like, my family taught me to think before I do anything, to the point where I think too much about it.
Yes.
So, I don't know, man. Just vibes.
Just vibes.
As long as breakdowns don't happen too often and you are able to function and be gay, it's all that matters.
Be gay. Don't have panic attacks.
Do crime. Be gay, do crime.
Be gay, do crime. Do gay, be crime? Yes. Okay, but I promised my sister I would play with her now, so alright. It was a good chatting session. I always love chatting with you, man. It's always super chill. The vibes.
Thanks.
The vibes.
Thanks, King.
Oh my god. So Jacko is, as you can see down here, Jacko Trash on all socials. Jacko Trash. Oh my god. There's the link to Jacko's IG and Twitter is also in the description. The link to pre-order my sign is also in the description, funny enough. But yeah, thank you, Jacko, so much for agreeing to come chat with a little gay fish for an hour and a half.
No problem, man. I enjoyed it a lot.
Hell yeah! I enjoyed it too. Alright, tomorrow 10 p.m. same time I will be doing Trans Tide Talks. Last episode before I change it into a more general chatting stream like this one. With Kitsune Candy, one of my good friends. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Otsumi! Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye bye.
Alright, bye bye.
Bye.